Hi, chill before you start cooking me in the comments. It's literally a reference, cause you know. Stone. Man, it's actually been a while since I tapped in with Dr. Stone. I heard it's actually about to end, so let me see what they got going on.
Retreat to the bomb!
Damn, last time I got up to date with the anime, it was basically a giant Minecraft server that turned into an actual literal war zone because one of their homies decided to become a tyrant. How did they go from the Stone Age to wielding switches, zappatrons and heavy snipers? I've been a Dr. Stone glazer since the day it came out, and I can confidently say that every single season of Dr. Stone is a complete and utter masterpiece. The King Von intro happens all the way in season 4, so it's only right we cover it from the beginning. So let me cut the yapping and get straight into the meat and potatoes. But before we can get into the meat and potatoes, this video is sponsored by Raycon, the everyday earbuds that I literally use all the time. Whether I'm editing a video for you guys, playing Marvel Rivals with the EORM agents, or at the gym pumping some iron like David Goggins, these things stay in and on me at all times and sound amazing. Raycon's everyday earbuds deliver powerful sound, deep bass, and up to 32 hours of battery life with the charging case. They are super comfortable, compact, and they never fall out, even when I'm moving around and getting a quick workout in at the gym. I love that they connect instantly via Bluetooth and switch seamlessly between my phone, laptop and my iPad where I do most of my editing. I can go from watching anime on my iPad to answering a call on my phone instantly. Plus they also come in a bunch of different colorways so you can actually match your setup. And right now, seeing that Black Friday and Cyber Monday are around the corner, you can get up to 30% off everything. And hey, 3 million customers already love Raycons and they come with a 30-day happiness guarantee. So if you don't love them, returns are easy, so you literally have nothing to lose. It's basically a win-win. Just click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/Senshiig to grab yours today. That's buyraycon.com/Senshiig for up to 30% off during Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into the meat and potatoes. It starts off with this crude character named Taiju telling my boy Senku that he's going to confess to his crush of 5 years. His crush's name is Yuzuriha, and I'm rooting for you, big bro. Confessing your crush in the big 2025 in front of your homeboys? That's like playing Russian roulette. You might end up going viral on TikTok.
I just lost my dog. How my brother taught me how to chase the bag. Get right in the field, I had to make.
But just as he's about to confess, Zawardo! Damn, this green light appeared out from the horizon, forcing everyone into doing the mannequin challenge. Taiju managed to stay conscious, and the only thing this idiot has on his mind is his little fine shit Yuzuriha. Days, years, decades go by, and Taiju is still conscious, being fueled by nothing but nyash. Look at the terrain. The earth damn near factory reset itself. A good woman will really change your life. A lot more time passes, and he wakes up breaking out of the stone as he goes to the outside to see that everyone around him has been petrified. If this was any normal person, they'd be terrified. Not Taiju though. He's a man on a mission because somehow he manages to track down his girl. This is really how they have Link looking for Zelda in any Zelda game. He breaks down after realizing that he's truly all alone, and I thought he was about to start getting freaky with the statue, but next to his statue there's a message that says follow the river downstream. He begins walking down the river, and this man Senku is aura farming like Prime Piccolo. How could he have possibly known that Taiju was gonna arrive at this exact moment? Ah yes, Gohan. This is the sun kiss technique. I'm quite familiar with it. Shout out Dennis. Senku explains that it's October 5th in the year 5738 and he's been awake for around 6 months building a shelter, which means they have been petrified for more than 3700 years. You know, that's cool and all, but how does Senku know he counted? Yes, for almost 4 millennia he was counting numbers like that one Asian back in 2022. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. I feel like this is such an overlooked fact. I can't even stay awake during a full fairy tale episode. Senku explains to Taiju that he wants to rebuild civilization from the ground up and figure out what happened and why they returned to stone. He needs him since he has insane strength. Taiju agrees as they begin building up their base, gathering food, crafting weapons, and just general everyday Minecraft stuff, you know? One thing I love about Dr. Stone is how all the science facts are actually real life accurate, so it would always feel like I'd be learning something new. Like in the later episodes, they deadass teach us how to make a bomb. They go into a cave where Senku explains that they're awakening saying likely wasn't random, but rather was a combination between them staying conscious and the stone corroding away over time through nitric acid. That's why Senku has been collecting it in the hopes of making some potion that can break anyone free from the stone. He's been testing it on this specific bird that got petrified one day before they did, and I kid you not, by the end of the episode, this man already cracked the code and created miracle fluid. Senku lets Taiji pick who he's gonna revive first, because imagine they revive some random person and he turns out to be a super overpowered light Yagami Lelouch v Britannia supporter with Che Guevara-esque ideologies. That would definitely be so bad. Anyways, Taiji obviously picks to revive his little fan shit, but Taiji begins tweaking because he doesn't want her to wake up naked, which makes for this hilarious dialogue in the dub.
There's absolutely nobody around to give a damn if your butt's showing, or even if your dick's hanging out. You still got to stop, I'm a trick! You're missing the point, you idiot!
They decide to return to base and put some clothes on her when they hear something in the bushes as a 330-pound African lion pulls up. What is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? Senku says it probably escaped from a nearby zoo, and since humans don't have their usual weapons or strength in numbers, lions are likely at the top of the food chain. They try to run away, but Scar and his harem are hawking them down. Taiji comes up with a plan to revive this guy called Tsukasa, known as the strongest primate high schooler, and just by the way he got petrified, I know he has aura. Senku pours the revival fluid on him as the lion pack has them cornered. They squabble up, but just when it seemed like it was wraps, the demon awakens. No nonsense, no talk, no stress. He asks Senku, what's the situation? Tarzan wakes up, butt booty naked, one taps Mufasa with a strong right and uses actual real-life conqueror's haki to scare away the other lions. When I saw this, I was genuinely flabbergasted. Senku is obviously happy he's been saved, but someone as smart as Senku quickly puts the dots together because Tsukasa is currently at the top of the food chain in a world without real guns or weapons. Anyhow, they return to the base and hold up, let's get a fit check. This man killed the lion and instantly acquired his drip. This is how I took Blade's fur after killing him in Elden Ring so I could marry Rani. If you know, you know. Tsukasa is a good addition to the squad as they won't have to only eat mushrooms anymore because he'll handle all the hunting and hold up. I know I'm doing a lot of pausing, but did this man just snatch a bird out of the air with one hand? Tsukasa might be part of the Hanma family. Matter of fact, this might be Pickle's long lost cousin. The next mission is to stack up a bunch of calcium carbonate, and for my fellow Minecrafters, is basically bone meal. It can be used to grow crops, make soap, and act as a pseudo cement. Tsukasa is perplexed by Senku's IQ and tells him how amazing he is. This is how people will compliment you on something when they are low-key hating. Senku has caught on to this, so tries to build a crossbow in the night, but Tsukasa is wide awake and has realized what Senku is doing. The next morning they are at the sea, and this must be one of Piccolo's aura farming methods. Look Gohan, he's using the seaside sunrise technique. Tsukasa tells Senku that they have so much freedom in this new stone world before he explains that how a long time ago there was this poor boy whose sister was sick. He'd always collect seashells for her, but one day a drunk adult who owned the land accused the boy of stealing the seashells and beat him so bad he was almost unrecognizable, as he finished the story by knocking the head of a statue smooth off. Senku doesn't bat an eye and reminds Tsukasa that he basically just killed a man. Tsukasa says that he knows what he did and asks Senku if he's planning on bringing back all the greedy and selfish adults. He poses an honestly valid rhetoric. If Senku were to revive everyone, it would only be a matter of time before the rich and powerful will start claiming land and force people to pay taxes and begin, waging worthless wars for no reason. Tsukasa says that he doesn't want that to happen and only wants to revive young people to prevent the world from returning to what it was 3,700 years ago. Now call me crazy, but Tsukasa definitely has a point. Look at life today. We live in a world where we have to pay for water and can't simply exist without being taxed by the ultra wealthy. When you're sick or unwell, you either have to pay a small mortgage to get treated or you get put on a wait list that will schedule you for an appointment when GTA 6 releases. The world wasn't meant to be like this. Human greed causes 99% of the problems we have today. Hell, we have an active going on in Gaza because the elites are so greedy for more land. So yes, I do in part agree with Tsukasa, but his plan is idealistic at best. There's so many flaws in there, and ultimately I think the world he's looking for is practically impossible. Humans are inherently flawed creatures with almost like an innate desire for infinite wants. At the core, we are just like a greedy species. We're always gonna be bickering over something. Damn, my bad. I just got hella philosophical on you guys. Let me know if I'm tripping in the comments or not.
I actually think
killing people is making the world a better place.
I think he wants to kill us.
Oh, no, not you per se, but just people.
in general.
Yeah, no, I want to kill them. All of them.
Senku stops Tsukasa from breaking another statue and says that Tsukasa's speech didn't move him 1 millimeter because he loves technology and what can be achieved with it. Hey, it seems like we got ourselves a good old-fashioned clash of ideologies. Senku realizes Tsukasa is smart and obviously willing to use violence to achieve his goal. However, he probably won't make any moves until he knows how to make his own miracle fluid.
Some news, you guys! Check this out, you see? I got a whole pot full of miracle fluid from the cave! And that means we can use this stuff to finally bring back Yuzuriha!
Taiju is like that one low-key slow homie who's still chill. Senku pretends there isn't enough revival fluid to bait Tsukasa into going into the cave and get it. Once he's gone, he explains the situation to Taiju, and after that, they revive Yuzuriha, finally giving Taiju his Prince Charming moment. It's cut short though, as Senku gives them two options. Either Taiju and Yuzuriha run away and live out the rest of their lives together, or they work together and try to fight against Tsukasa, who's already been on a murder spree. But before they can even make a decision, it's too late. The boss battle has shown up. This aura is how it feels when Homelander from The Boys showed up in the early seasons of the show. It's like this impending dread that he can do whatever he wants without any repercussions because he's so much stronger than everyone else. Taiju says F it and charges at him without any type of plan, so Senku backs out his crossbow and shoots Tsukasa at the same time. But this man Tsukasa is a quick time event demon as he grabs the arrow mid-air and lands a flying knee on Taiju. Yeah, wrap it up. We are face to face with Prime Neji Hyoga. Tsukasa is impressed with the fact that Taiju managed to block his kick, but he says that he didn't actually feel any killing intent from him when he charged him. What do you mean killing intent? Is this man Akaza? That's when Taiju explained that he never hits anyone on his fourth in timing and was planning on letting Tsukasa hit him until he stopped breaking statues. Everyone is perplexed, even Tsukasa.
Dude, I'm watching the stream while you try not to laugh, bro. That's disrespectful as shit.
It seems like Tsukasa couldn't help but respect Taiju's straightforward honesty, so decided to spare them and vanishes into the forest on some casual shit. Senku realizes they need that Pack-a-Punch 3000, so him and his new party start looking for materials to build a new weapon. Yuzuriha spots this old landmark she used to visit with her parents, which causes her to cry, and I know I said it's basically Minecraft the anime, but I can't help but feel similarities with Zelda Breath of the Wild. Walking through that ruined Hyrule just hits home sometimes. They continue their adventure when we cut over to Tsukasa, who as Senku predicted, came back to their base. Even though Senku tried to make it seem like they ran away, he quickly deduces that Senku is trying to use his brains to make a weapon to defeat him. Man, I just love it when both the antagonist and protagonist have high IQs. It makes it so much more interesting. We spin back to Senku and his party who made it to Hakone as they are trying to find gunpowder to make the very first Stone Age flintlock pistol. Taiji gets some alone time with his shorty, and like the true man he is, he says it was not fair for him to selfishly think about himself in this situation, so he decides to postpone his confession until after they saved humanity. They mix together sulfur, charcoal, and potassium nitrate to create gunpowder, and I always love these little segments where it turns into something out of a game show, or when Mecha Senku pulls up like Dora the Explorer. The smoke from the explosion alerts Tsukasa of their location, but as they are looking out into the distance, they see smoke too, which leads Senku to believe that there might actually still be other people alive. Tsukasa has pulled up and taken Yuzuriha hostage and tells Senku that creating weapons in this new world is a slippery slope. He then tells him to give the revival fluid recipe to him, but Senku tries the nonchalant gimmick and says that he doesn't care what happens to Yuzuriha, just for Tsukasa to speed blitz cut off her hair, which has Senku flabbergasted. Yuzuriha locks in and says it doesn't matter if she dies, since Senku is way more important to the survival of humanity, which causes Senku to give Tsukasa the real revival fluid recipe. Damn, my respect for Yuzuriha just went up like crazy. Tsukasa tells Senku that if he can promise him that he will give up on science, he will let him live, when we see a flashback of a young Senku dressed like a certified unk studying to become a scientist. And I don't know, bro, just look at these little cutie patooties working together on creating a spaceship. So as we cut back to Senku and Tsukasa, he stands 10 toes and tells him that he won't abandon science. When Tsukasa says that had they met 3,700 years ago, they'd probably be good friends. And with that, he one-taps Senku, severing his cervical nerve. And damn, bruh, there's just something about seeing Taiju and Yuzuriha bawling their eyes out, holding Senku's lifeless body. Taiju is filled with pure rage. Even Tsukasa flinched for a moment, sensing Taiju's killing intent. Taiju throws up a rock as a diversion, allowing Yuzuriha to grab the gunpowder and throws it at Tsukasa, causing a giant explosion, allowing them to vanish. Tsukasa gotta be indicted into the Aura Farming Hall of Fame. Look, Gohan, the firebending technique, I haven't seen that one used in a while. Great job. Taiju realizes that Senku would never sacrifice himself without any sort of plan, and that's when they realize that Senku has been cracking his neck ever since awakening in the Stone Age, and purposely hinted for Tsukasa to strike him in his neck. So then they turn him around as they see a bit of stone left over. The revival fluid has some sort of healing properties, so they pour some on the stone, and lo and behold, like Prime Satoru Gojo, he he alone is the honored one, a genius reborn. While Senku was dead, we got to see a bunch of extra lore from when he woke up, and it's honestly hilarious seeing the monkeys react to Senku getting all these achievements in game chat. Bro really speedran his base like Dream in 2020. After getting rebooted, Senku realizes it will be best if Taiju and Yuzuriha go back to join Tsukasa, since he's planning on using the revival fluid to only revive the young, and since he will think Senku is dead, he won't have any reason to kill them and they can act as spies. While in the meantime, Senku will try to find the people he was setting off the smoke signal and try to convince them to help them in the fight against Tsukasa. His only hope is that Tsukasa doesn't accidentally run into them before he does. When we cut over to Tsukasa, he got run up on by this blonde-haired girl. He's confused as to whether maybe Taiji revived her or if she came from somewhere else, when she leaps in with the double daggers like Forfin, clashing with Tsukasa, and follows up with a flurry rush just for Tsukasa to parry every single hit with zero difficulty. She tries to land a bicycle kick like prime Cristiano Ronaldo, forcing Tsukasa to dodge when she explains that she saw everything he did earlier. She rushes in again just to get her knife grabbed like Aizen vs Ichigo, when Tsukasa pieces together the fact that she wasn't from the revived people but rather someone who likely grew up in the Stone Age. He deemed it to be of no importance, so lands a swift left hook and pins her to the floor with a tree, and how she ain't dead from that, I don't know. Matter of fact, how Tsukasa cut this tree in one hit is even more insane. He must have trained under Batman and Wenben with them Tibetan monks. Senku saw everything and he goes to save her when we get this sick montage of him creating a pulley allowing him to lift up the tree. The blonde girl's name is Kohaku, and she was so impressed by Senku she ended up telling him that she's taken a liking to him, which gives us yet another funny piece of dialogue.
My name is Kohaku, and honestly, I believe I've taken quite a liking to you.
We've just met and you're already professing your love, not how to handle an emergency.
I didn't say anything about falling in love. I'm saying I like you as a person, and I think the two of us can work together.
I'm not one to get into shipping, but this is definitely one that I want to see set sail. Their chemistry is just so funny to watch from the jump, kinda reminds me of like Ed and Winry. After some talking, Kohaku agrees to take Senku to a village, and they show average Clash of Clans base. They should invest in upgrading the walls. Kohaku says there's around 40 of them in the village, and Senku is confused as to where all these people came from. They call science sorcery, so to cut a long story short, this is basically like a Harvard graduate going to North Sentinel Island. Senku isn't allowed to go in the village because no outsiders are allowed in, and that's when we meet my goat Chrome, who's the only other sorcerer aka scientist in the village. They have a sorcery battle where Chrome tries to show off by making fire and having a change color by throwing different swords into it. Everyone is perplexed, but Senku breaks it down pretty easily, which makes Chrome realize there's levels to all this sorcery stuff. All in all, it's just another funny segment. Although Chrome's science is primitive at best, Senku beats him in this Harry Potter battle, making him the new owner of Chrome's science lab, and Chrome will now become his apprentice. They end up becoming pretty good friends though, so it's all good, as they bond over all the materials Chrome has stored in his chest, since he's been doing a lot of off-camera mining. Chrome has diamonds, emeralds, iron, and even philosopher's stones. It's revealed that Kohaku's sister Ruri is extremely ill, and the reason Chrome became a scientist in the first place is to find her a cure. Chrome asks for Senku to help, so Senku actually tells him everything about the whole world and the petrification. He's obviously so shaken up, but his convictions only gotten stronger as he vows to help Senku rebuild humanity, but first they try to make antibiotics to save Ruri. Senku also sees it as an opportunity to be granted access into the village by saving their priestess. So him, Kohaku, and Chrome go out to the river to collect materials for the medicine, and bruh, the neurons in younger me's brain were activated. Kohaku used to have me in a chokehold. I blame Cartoon Network, bruh. We also get to meet a new party member named Suika, and Kohaku tells us that Chrome has a big crush on Ruri, which is part of the reason why he wants to cure her. They need more manpower, so they send Suika on a mission to gather intel, and so one of my favorite Dr. Stone memes is born. Suika always gets sent on the most insane side quest recon missions of all time. After finding out some info, he decides to win them over by making ramen in the Stone Age. It's mid compared to regular ramen, but since they never had anything like it, it would be like giving a Popeye's chicken sandwich to the people on North Sentinel Island, so all the tribes folk eat it up. Senku's plan seems to be slowly working, and he's beginning to win over the islanders, when this guy in a purple coat says he wouldn't mind having a Coca-Cola with his ramen.
This ramen is making me wickedly thirsty. A cola would be great. Cola?
Apparently his name is Asagiri Gin, who used to be a famous magician in the original world. He says that he's not with Tsukasa, but Kohaku can instantly sense that he's lying. Senku also knows, so puts him to work anyways before questioning him as he comes clean and says that he is with Tsukasa. Senku lets him stay because Gin says his job was to confirm Senku's death for Tsukasa, but after seeing Senku's capabilities, he's thinking about working with him instead, since all he cares about is being on the winning side. See, this is what's wrong with Tsukasa's ideology. His thought process made him believe that every young person would automatically automatically be pure and righteous, but he forgot that there's real life Doflamingos out here who were evil from the tender age of 6. Senku says he can make Ging choose his side by creating a generator in the Stone Age. His plan is to use a lightning rod to create a super strong magnet. Now I know we're in the middle of an intense moment, but the animators knew damn well what they were doing with these shots, bro. They managed to make it work, and Senku acquired a magnet, bringing him one step closer to electricity. Senku and Tsukasa really going aura for aura every single episode. Ah yes, Gohan, the ray of sunshine method. I haven't seen this one since Record of Ragnarok. They speedrun making the generator, but since it's based on manpower, they finally get Kinuro and Ginuro to join the party. And after a few more hours, Senku gives this cold speech to Chrome and tells him that thousands of years ago humanity conquered the dark, and they will do it again right here. As Senku, in the literal Stone Age, creates the first ever light bulb. Immaculate. I know damn well he posted this one on the gram talking about some, it took Edison 1000 tries but I only needed the one. Gin is trying to figure out whether he's going to side with Tsukasa or Senku, and not gonna lie, it's a tough choice, but whilst he's pondering, this man gets slimed with maximum efficiency. Detroit smash, gut check, left hook, and a smooth British greeting to the abdomen. Damn. Luckily he protected himself with fake blood packs, but he's still injured badly, so Senku and the gang send out Suika to investigate, who finds out it was Magma, who killed Gin because he wants to make sure he's the strongest in the village. Apparently he did that because once every generation they hold this giant tournament to decide who gets to marry the priestess and become the village chief. Magma was one of the strongest in the village and was planning on marrying Ruri and then killing her, so Kohaku off screen, bro. Since the next grand bout is in a week, he wants to make sure he has no comp left. That's when they decide to enter the bout in the hopes of having one of the men from the Kingdom of Signs winning, which will allow Senku to enter the village and get medicine to Ruri. Kohaku trains Kinuro and Ginuro to become strong enough to take down Magma, even though it means he won't be able to marry Ruri. Chrome is still cool with it as long as Ruri gets to live. Gen made up his mind and says he will join the Kingdom of Science and lie to Tsukasa about Senku if he makes him a bottle of cola. Hey, him and Frankie would be great friends. In the process of making Coca-Cola, he also makes glasses for Suika, as it turns out the reason she wears the watermelon on her head is because she can't see properly. It's honestly a pretty wholesome Senku moment. He's like a big brother. Whilst that's happening, we find out that Ginuro also has bad eyesight, but is too ashamed to admit it, which is hindering his fighting progress. Pride really is the devil. Ginuro and Kinuro are low-key top 61 duos in anime. Anyways, they use the glass to try and make lab equipment, but they don't have the necessary skills, so they recruit Master Roshi. This old man is Kazuki, and bro is a goated craftsman, so now they have required yet another party member. Bro's low-key one of the most valuable members of the science team. Even in a non-battle shonen, they'll find a way to have this one randomly insanely overpowered old guy. Their cornucopia is really starting to come together right now. Fast forward, and after creating the science equipment, they need to get the sulfuric acid, which also turns out to create one of the most dangerous gases to humans called hydrogen sulfide, which will instantly kill you, and leave it up to Japan to represent literal acid as a big titty blue-haired anime demon. Anyways, after creating some gas masks, they acquire the sulfuric acid. Now all they need is alcohol, and they can put everything into the crafting table and make the drug. We are one day away from the battle to decide who marries Ruri, and Senku has also decided to enter the tournament too, since there's nothing in the rules prohibiting outsiders. Senku finally steps foot in the village when Ruri finds out that his name is Senku and says she's heard of him before, so she asks him what his surname is, but falls over before she gets an answer. The grand bout begins, and Lord Farquaad kidnaps Suika, forcing Kohaku to try and save her, basically taking her out the tournament. Kinuro and Magma tee up, and Kinuro is locked all the way in. He hits him with that Link Flurry Rush as they continue to go band for band. It's honestly pretty even, but then it cuts to what Kinuro sees, and I kid you not, his eyesight is almost as bad as mine. Suika frees herself and makes it back to the village and realizes that Kinuro also has bad eyesight, but it's not looking good because Kinuro has been put in a 50-hit sparking zero combo. Suika decides to give him her watermelon glasses, and I can't lie, this is pure aura. He gets the full 20/20 vision, which basically gives him a Sharingan, allowing him to dodge, weave, and avoid all the hits, returning the favor and putting him in that Brawlhalla spin cycle and ending it off with a blow to the face. That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. Pride really is the devil. He could have noticed Magma had he just asked Senku to make him some glasses. He asks the ref if his win still counts, and just as he's about to get the W, this Sneak Nation demon Magma backdoors Kinuro one-tapping him. What in the Black Zetsu is even going on right now? MICKEYMOUSE. That's such a Mickey Mouse way to win the game, bro. Chrome and Mineta squabble up, but it's honestly a sad sight. But as Magma spots Kohaku making it back to the village, he tells Babidi to lose punches on purpose to force a DQ. So now it's all up to Ginro, who ate that magic juice Senku made, but whole time it was just caffeine. The placebo effect made him think he got super strong, allowing him to beat his opponent. It's now Magma versus Chrome, and they hyped this up like it was a Creed movie, just for Chrome to genuinely get one-tapped and repeatedly beat on. He refused to give up and uses Suika's old glasses to attempt to set fire to Magma, but he needs 60 seconds to do so, and that's when the goat Gin pulls up and lends a helping hand. This obviously had Magma flabbergasted. Imagine seeing the man you offed last night standing on top of the roof like Itachi Uchiha. He says he cursed Magma, and for 60 seconds he can't move, otherwise his heart will explode, giving Chrome the perfect opportunity. Sensational. Chrome managed to defeat Magma. Now all they need to do is let Chrome win and he can marry his Zelda. But nah, this man Ginro done lost the plot and wants to become village chief, so Senku has to defeat him. So now all they need to do is let Chrome win. Yeah, never mind. Bro has such a luck. He could have married his childhood sweetheart, but now Senku has to marry Ruri and becomes the new village chief. So Senku married Ruri, gets the alcohol as a reward, and then divorces her right away so he can get back to making the medicine. Sometimes Dr. Stone turns into an actual comedy, but hey, it all works out. Senku gets to go into the village, Gen gets his cola, the science team finish their antibiotics and give it to Ruri. And this has to be on purpose, bro. Come on.
You some freaky ass nigga!
And with that, Ruri is officially saved, everyone was happy, and her pops dropped down to his knees like that one Duke Dennis clip. He officially pronounces him as the new chief of Ishigami village. Ishigami village? Hold up, isn't Senku's name Ishigami? What? Ruri pulls up and explains to Senku that the priestess' job is to pass down the stories to each generation, called the 100 Tales, which is how they knew about Momotaro and animals like gorillas, and apparently the 100th tale is called Senku Ishigami. She begins retelling the tale, and it's basically just all the background lore about Senku, which is being retold by his father. Senku's dad was a university teacher who ended up becoming an astronaut with the help of Senku. He's honestly a cool guy. It's rare for an anime dad to be present, let alone be a decent person. A few years go by and he makes it into the International Space Station. It seems to be some sort of celebrity space store, kinda similar to when Katy Perry went to space. Matter of fact, it's probably a matter of time until Kaiser Nat and Asho Speed do a stream in space like this. Whilst all this was going on, the wave hits and the whole world gets turned to stone. They witness the green light from space, but when they get no response from the home base, they go to use the live feed cameras, which shows all the stone statues in every part of the world. Damn, that seems terrifying, but at the same time so cool. I love it when an anime gets innovative with their concepts and ideas. They get this cool parallel between Senku's counting and his dad and the crew returning to Earth. They eventually land on an abandoned island and confirm that they truly may be the only people left alive, so they try to make the most of it as more and more time passes. 3 years go by and they start having kids and continue to rebuild population, one backshot at a time. We also find out that Senku and his dad aren't actually related by blood, and he still has utter belief that Senku is still alive and going to save humanity. And I don't know, just seeing them struggle but continue to fight and make the most of a dire situation just goes to show the power of human perseverance. No matter how bad a situation gets, no matter how low of a low you think you've sunk, the only way once you hit rock bottom is up. Time passes anyway, so do what you need to do with a smile on your face and make the most of what you have right now. Remain grateful at all times. It can always get worse, you know? I'll stop. You know, I had to bring back the hope core, man. You guys are commenting in the comments saying bring back the hope core. I had to bring it back. Senku's dad left not only a bunch of storage for his descendants, but also a lot of minerals and items that his science could need. I don't think it's crazy to say that Senku's father might be one of the greatest dads in anime history. Like, name a better dad than Senku's dad. And you know what? Just seeing Senku actually shed a tear and show that raw emotion, hey, that just hit home. Ishigami Byakuya, you have my salutes. Senku returns to talk to Gen when he tells him that Tsukasa is coming and he's building an army. Tsukasa says that because Gen didn't find Senku's body, he could be hiding in the village, so we'll build an army and take the village by force. Whilst, once again, Oro farming in a cave. Kinura and Ginro are guarding the bridge because it seems like they are about to get ambushed by Gen Ichimaru from Bleach. His name is Hyoga, and after Ginro managed to defeat the henchmen, who mind you, somehow look more like cavemen than the actual cavemen, he ended up getting no-death by Hyoga, who instantly was able to tell that Kinro had bad eyesight. Gen tells us that Hyoga is kind of relative in strength to Tsukasa, so it might be reps. I mean, when I first saw Hyoga, I could not take him seriously, bro. This guy sounds exactly like Psyche K.
You're even more mush-brained than I imagined if you thought you could win against a spearman on a narrow bridge. That strategy wasn't proper at all.
Kinro is holding on and tells them to cut the bridge, but Ginro is just not able to sacrifice his bro. Senku uses the last remaining bits of the gunpowder to create a fake gunshot as a bluff for Hyoga and announces to him that he's still alive. And hey, it looks like we got ourselves a war arc. Definitely in my top 3 archetypes of shonen arcs, right up there with tournament arcs and hostage retrieval arcs. They begin to prepare for the war when 3 days go by as a storm pulls up, making it the perfect opportunity for the attack. They think they caught Senku lacking, but the Ishigami village strike team pulls up and catches them off guard, no diffing basically all of them with Japanese katanas they made. Don't give Senku any prep time, bro, he might be worse than Batman. Hyoga uses Kurgani's spear fighting technique that has a special weapon which easily allows him to fight multiple people at once. Magma, Kinra and Kohaku go to jump him, but Hyoga keeps Magma at bay, which allows Kohaku to come from the top rope. Hyoga still manages to react, and just when it seems like it might be reps, his weapon breaks. Turns out when Gen went back to Hyoga, he actually tampered with his weapon, causing it to malfunction. W-mans. Hyoga is cornered, or so he thought, because one of his subordinates sets fire to the village. Bachi? Chika Fujiwara? You know? Her name is Homura, and she's a skilled gymnast like Sunny Lee, working as Hyoga's right-hand woman. This forces all the villagers out, which makes it easier for them to attack. Suika starts playing prop hunts and lures some of the henchmen away towards the acid lake, forcing Hyoga and his henchmen to stay in the trees. W Suika. It's kinda wild how Hyoga just casually offed 3 people just to test whether the poison was real or not. After barely surviving the first attack of the Tsukasa Empire, Senku decides to prepare by creating the most important device in modern warfare, communication, aka a phone, because they got Taiju and Yuzuriha as inside men. But then again, isn't Tsukasa just gonna be suspicious of them the moment he realizes Senku is still alive? Hyoga relays the info that he got diffed by cavemen to Tsukasa.
Listen, I was on the team with a whole bunch of LA Fitness niggas. No badges. We had a Mike. I'm sorry I gotta say your name. You are one of the worst hoopers in the whole country, bro.
And they both come to the same conclusion that the battle will likely take place during winter. They also decide to keep an eye out on Taiji and Yuzuriha to prevent causing suspicion. They left Homura to keep watch of Senku as both sides prepare for war. I'll fast forward all of the crafting they did to make the phone. Just know that Senku somehow learned Chidori, since it will be very important later on. They did also end up making cotton candy and gave it to Homura, and this is the third strike. Boichi, I know you're a gooner. Who eats cotton candy like this? After a lot of crafting, a new season, a fit change, a couple expeditions, a Christmas party, a few wholesome moments, a funny meme song, so good they didn't even want to dub it, a bunch of dap-ups, a bit of character bonding, Senku's birthday, a lot of off-camera mining, a cool montage with this beautiful opening, we finally created the first ever cell phone in the stone world.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now. I'm just stroking my shit. I'm horny as fuck, man. I'm a freak.
While they are testing the phone, Ruri mentions something about the 14th tale from the stories that were passed down, which leads Senku and Gen to discover a tape at Senku's dad's grave, which had a recording basically leaving him this beautiful song.
Holy steady watching me. Every day they cocking me. Red alert, I'm the dangerous. I keep that clock on me. And they ain't looking for no trouble. I'm just looking out for me. Cause I done did shit the niggas ain't talking about no rapping beef. Boy, I'm talking tragedy, massive, casual. Shit that I can't even remember. Bet they remember me. Shit that happened late in December. I bring that winter heat. Niggas down the whole October, the real Halloween. Back to back funerals is them or us.
Jokes aside though, this is genuinely a beautiful way to end off the season and start off the beginning of the Stone Wars. This is really starting to feel like Captain America Civil War. Both Senku and Tsukasa are natural born leaders with strong charisma, capable of rallying troops behind them. The parallels are honestly kinda cool. As they are preparing for the war, Gen comes up with a plan to trick the people from the Tsukasa army into thinking the famous singer Lillian is alive and is sending aid from America, which will make the foot soldiers from the Tsukasa Empire believe that there isn't any point in following Tsukasa anymore. They send Chrome, Magma and Gen to give the phone to Taiji and Yuzuriha and also fake a bunch of gunshots to make it seem like they acquired guns and trick Homura to leave her post. Kohaku takes the opportunity to strike her down, but she uses acrobatics to dodge her as they continue to jump through the trees like Ninja and Naruto. Kohaku lures her towards Senku's trap, but he literally hits her with an actual real-life flashbang. He's out here playing COD. Since she's stunned, Senku goes to pin her down, but just like Derek Lewis in that one MMA match, she just stands up after realizing Senku weighs like 50 kg. She quickly maneuvers away and gets the high ground. She spots all the villagers and realizes Gen, Chrome and Magma are missing when it hits her that this was all a giant distraction. She goes after them, but Senku doesn't seem too worried because when he mounted her, he rubbed a bunch of powder on her, which they can use to track her down with a black light. They've been using Morse code to communicate and plan on using a fake telephone to bait out Homura, which allowed Kohaku to capture her. W plays. Chrome, Gen and Magma make it to the Tsukasa Empire, go to place the phone in Senku's grave so they don't make it bait, but Tsukasa has this Inumaki lookalike who who apparently has some insane hearing, when we get this Toph Beifong seismic sense animation when magma hits the stone. They barely manage to get away from the Hawkeye wannabe, so the next morning, after more than a year apart, Taiju and Yuzuriha finally get to speak to Senku. Absolute cinema. It doesn't seem like they've been spotted by this Officer Doke's muscle mummy, but Senku actually wants them to bring someone so they can use Gen's voice changing ability. Taiju tries to bring her over and she straight up starts beating bro. He maxed out his 4th in I have no enemies stat line though, and eventually convinces her to listen. They use the Lillian voice to trick her, but if it was anyone else it would have been smooth sailing, but they sadly chose to bring over a sleeper superfan. She's on par with the average K-pop stan, but luckily Gen and Senku lock in like Game 6 LeBron. I was just out there trying shit, one leg of the wrong foot, cause they throw on the CD and it was all green. She knows that Lillian is likely already dead, but decides to trust in Senku because he was able to preserve one of her songs using signs. Nikki has officially joined this party. She explains that alongside Hyoga, Norman from Promised Neverland is also a big problem. They are like the wings of Tsukasa, the Sanji and Zoro. He has insane hearing and he used to work in Sona and also uses a bow and arrow. That's when we cut over to Chrome and Magma fighting against Ukyo, when Chrome realized that Ukyo could have killed him a long time ago if he wanted to, so decided to forfeit and just surrender as he gets taken to meet Tsukasa face to face. Magma relays the news to the rest of the guys. They decide to start their Chrome retrieval mission, but since they need to carry a bunch of stuff and people, Senku decides to make an actual car. This is probably where it transcends Minecraft. Actually no, I take it back. I've seen Redstone engineers create entire orbital cannons, so it's probably not even crazy to say that they could probably make a car. Tsukasa is a pretty rational guy and probably won't do anything to Chrome as long as he doesn't provoke him. Yeah, this is Chrome we're talking about. They ask him why he came here and also tell him that he could join them instead. Chrome stands 10 toes and says that he's riding with Senku till the day he dies, so they drop him. This is easily top 3 toughest Chrome moments. I really thought it was raps, but Tsukasa gives Ukyo the signal to save him last minute. Listen, I know I keep talking about Tsukasa's strength, but this is ridiculous. He might be on Compound V. They ask Ukyo where he found Chrome and he tells Tsukasa that he found him in the Miracle Cave on his own, which obviously means he is covering for Chrome. We cut back to Senku and them, and they finish making the engine for the car and are now assembling the remaining parts. After finishing the Maybach, they start making their way towards Tsukasa's base just for Suika to go on yet another side quest. She managed to get good information, so Senku decides to upgrade his Maybach into a lamp truck so they can ram the cell door open with brute force. But that's when it's revealed that Tsukasa purposely left Chrome out in the open to lure Senku into a trap. Chrome decides to come up with his own plan to try and escape, but this man Tsukasa unfroze an American corrupt police officer to watch over him. If this guy arrests you, you have a 67% chance of turning into a hashtag. His body cam is still sealed in its original packaging. He will turn you into a movement for jaywalking. What was Tsukasa possibly thinking? This guy offed someone with a smile on his face and then retold the story to the investigators like he was talking about scoring a hat-trick in a 5-a-side game of football. He's in it purely for the love of the game. Wouldn't this be the type of people Tsukasa hates? I don't understand why he's reviving corrupt people. Hell, even Hyoga killed 3 people in his introduction for no reason. After some 200 IQ plays by Chrome, he managed to escape out of the prison, but Yo's hawking him down. He gets cornered and uses Gen's fake blood technique to drop his guard, and then uses the bamboo stick to pop his ballsack, allowing him to escape and reunite with the gang. W Chrome. Even though he was born in the Stone Age, his adaptability easily makes him top 5 smartest in this arc. Taiju and Yuzuriha are still working on converting people, and it's slowly working, but finally, Ukyo wants to hear it too. He instantly figures out that it's Gen, but they realize that he hasn't told Tsukasa. Senku gets on the phone and Ukyo confirms that he's trying to figure out what type of people Senku and the gang are, because he found out Yuzuriha's side quest. She's been one by one rebuilding all of the statues that Tsukasa has broken. Sensational. Ukyo agrees to help them on the condition that no one dies. He's been hating himself for not fighting back against Tsukasa breaking the statues, and I can't even blame him. This man is the real life Thanos. I'm pretty sure if the whole cast jumped him, they'd all die. Ukyo reveals another thing, and it aligns with what I said. Hyoga told Tsukasa that the people that died to the poison gas were killed by Senku, but he was the one who killed them. Tsukasa remembers the names of every single fallen soldier and pays respect to them by Senku's grave, including Yo, who faked his own death. Yo is such a funny side character. Hyoga, on the other hand, didn't even remember the names of the people he offed like 2 hours ago and gave Tsukasa the nastiest side-eye when he mentions it. Tsukasa had a solid idea, but his execution is so bad. He's reviving King Vons and Doflamingos left, right, and center. I don't know if you guys seen Legend of Korra, but Tsukasa and Hyoga remind me of like Amon and Tarlok. They are both evil, but one of them has good intentions and got lost in the sauce, while the other one is low-key just a terrorist, in it for the love of the game. Senku's says that they'll need all the manpower they can get. So after more than a year, demons are finally home. Yuzuriha and Taiju are back in the party. Game's on, all the chess pieces are on the board. Tsukasa has also found the phone, and that had my boy perplexed. Anyways, that's enough yapping, let the squabble commence. They make their charge, and this just reminds me of the charging Chimera Ant-Arc. Senku predicts that they'll have a 20-second window to secure the cave before the enemies regroup. They start off with a bomb to distract the enemy and continue their push with the ground troops, and honestly, they're kind of squad wiping. The tank eventually gets immobilized, so Senku creates some type of super sound wave like Radiohead from MHA to take out the foot soldiers, and with less than a second on the clock, they make it to the Miracle Fluid Cave. Immaculate. But you know, that feels a little bit too easy, because the two boss battles finally pull up and instantly one-tap Ukyo. Having these two on the same team is so unfair. This is like fighting the Godskin duo in Elden Ring, or even Ornstein and Small. Brains versus brawn. The age-old question. Senku and Tsukasa come face to face, and I refuse to ignore this. They both activated their damn sun-kissed aura farming technique at the same time. Look at the way the sun rays just caress their face. Piccolo, how are they doing this? Hyoga offers Senku the same deal as Tsukasa and tells him if he dies then everyone gets to live. This time is different though, because he got the whole kingdom of science behind him. They charge in and try to distract Tsukasa so Senku can run into the Miracle Cave and create a science-based weapon. Hyoga turns into a Beyblade, knocking all of them down when Tsukasa leaps into the air and turns 3 of them into shish kebab. Ginra rushes in with his spear and Tsukasa compliments his skills and says he doesn't want to kill him, but Ginra and Magma follow up and try to pincer him, just for Tsukasa to genuinely one-tap all of them. This is really how people would glaze Kakashi and then brutally violate him. It really isn't looking good for the Kingdom of Science, but Senku, Chrome and Gen finally cooked their plan. He used nitric acid to create nitroglycerin and put it on a paper airplane. So as Tsukasa is hunting down Taiju, he sees something in his peripheral vision, flying through the air. A paper airplane laced with pure raw TNT.
Legalize nuclear bombs.
Swag Messiah.
Realizing that Senku basically has nukes at his disposal, Tsukasa admits defeat and Senku wants to begin negotiations. He starts off by saying that Tsukasa hates the elites but was basically one of them in the modern day. He was appearing on TV shows and had lots of money, and there had to be a reason for him doing all that. Well, apparently Tsukasa had a younger sister who was bedridden, and the story about the boy collecting seashells was about him. He trained hard, became strong, escaped his horrible life, and ended up creating the image of the strongest primate high schooler, which allowed him to pay for the hospital bills for his sister. Honestly, this backstory is really cool. Tsukasa was really in the octagon putting belt to ass like Alex Ferreira. Anyway, Senku tells Tsukasa that the revival fluid has a healing effect and they can heal his sister as long as Tsukasa agrees to the ceasefire. And with that, the war is officially over. You know, one thing about Dr. Stone that I always had an itsy bitsy issue with is that they always just forgive and forget. Huge emphasis on forget. I understand it's a ceasefire and all, but these guys literally tried to kill you like half an episode ago. Hyoga is literally pure evil. They go to find Tsukasa's sister and revive her, and just like Senku said, she was completely healed from her illness. Absolute cinema. He's cutting onions, man. They are regrouping when Chrome says they are missing a few pieces of dynamite, and when they go to check Homura's cell, they see that she's escaped. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. People don't just change overnight. An explosion goes off and lo and behold, the Miracle Cave was blown up. Tsukasa goes to check it out, but left Mirai with this psychopath Hyoga. He goes for a killing blow on her, but Tsukasa sacrifices himself, getting impaled in the process. I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. Look at his mouth. This might be Inumaki. Senku manages to barely catch him as Hyoga goes after them. Kohaku tries to follow them but gets held back by her dad. It's now just a half-dead Tsukasa, Senku, and Hyoga in the final bout. A bit off topic, but if Senku's hair is flat like this because of the water, does that mean bro gels his hair to make it look like a spring onion? Like what's going on? Hyoga begins yapping and he basically thinks this was some sort of planetary reset because the planet can't sustain 7 billion people and only a few chosen people can be allowed to live. Which is just like a really dumb thought process. Like bro, everyone was petrified. If anyone were to be part of those chosen people that you're talking about, it definitely wouldn't be you. It would be Senku because he actually managed to escape on his own. He says the only people who should be revived are the superior people, and all the superficial talk about who's superior and who's not is really the same way some manga elitists talk in the comment sections after reading Classroom of the Elite, Monster, or Berserk. Hyoga tells Senku that they should team up together, and Senku obviously isn't with all that, but unlike Tsukasa, Tsukasa, Hyoga is a real demon as he threatens to torture him till he agrees. Senku begins to tweak out and I thought bro lost it, but he was just creating a distraction for Tsukasa to land a Detroit smash on Hyoga. Had broski clasping for air. Tsukasa is on 2 HP, but hey, what did All For One say? There's nothing scarier than a dying hero. We got Brain and Brawn teaming up. This is the type of flick you post on the gram with your mans. Tony Stark and Captain America tag team, hashtag dynamic duo. The opening starts playing and they get to business. Hyoga tries to run it back, but Tsukasa starts going blow for blow with him and he's honestly still holding his own. They lure him into a trap and use Fireball Juicy to try and set Hyoga on fire, but he puts the flame out and rushes Senku, stabbing him in the abdomen. Tsukasa clocks Hyoga and starts unloading on bro, like prime Yusuke Urameshi, but Hyoga's parry game is elite, moving like a Sekiro player. Senku crawls towards Hyoga and call him Senku Uchiha because after the Fireball Jutsu, he follows up with a Chidori and fries Hyoga with a 1000 volt stun gun. Perfect, you know, just perfect. The rest of the gang pull up and tie up Hyoga and Homura, and Senku says they will keep them captive till they rebuild civilization and put them on a fair trial. The core theme of Dr. Stone gotta be forgive and forget, because how is everyone just cool with each other? I've seen people hold grudges for less. This is pure bro logic. Tsukasa is on his last legs, but Senku thought of a way to save him. They first perform a surgery without anesthetics, by the way, which is already an insane concept, but he's going to basically cryo freeze him until he finds a way to utilize the power of petrification and then reawaken him to heal all his wounds. Damn, the plot just got even better. They create the cold sleep chamber, and I don't know what it is, man, but that last seemingly meaningless bit of small talk between Senku and Tsukasa before he puts him to sleep just gets me every single time. These two are really just two bros, man. It kind of reminds me of like Aang and Zuko. Tsukasa has officially been frozen, man. It's really a terrible day for Rain. Senku gathers everyone together and says that he's going to figure out where the petrification beam started, which means they need to travel to the other side of the world. They'll need to build a ship to do so, and you know what that means, right? The One Piece! The next saga is basically your average One Piece arc, but how can you sail a boat across the Grand Line without a capable captain? Find out next time on Senshiig Z. But hey, that's the end of the video. Honestly, this video, I had so much fun making this video. Like, I love Dr. Stone, as you can tell. It's been a long time coming, but yeah, if this video gets, let's say 5k likes, I'll cover the rest of Dr. Stone all the way up to like season 4. But yeah, appreciate you for tapping in. Make sure you join the Discord. Socials are all in the bio. YouTube thinks you'll like this video on screen next, so check it out. That's it from me. Peace. And big shout out to Raycon for sponsoring the video. Love you guys.